What is up, everyone? Ninja Nick 333. We are back for another round of the Pokemon Knoxville Regional Championships. We have Ian Buck here on the left with what looks to be Lugia, and we have Piper Lapine here on the right with Palkia V-Star with that Articuno that paralyzes. So this will be an interesting matchup. This is a lot like Ian's deck, where it has the Thornton, Ian Rob's deck, where it has the Thornton, so that you can pull a Palkia V-Star out of nowhere, potentially. It'll be interesting to see if there is also something along the lines of the Crabominable in there as well. I have not seen her list yet. Looks like Ian did win the coin flip, so he is going first. He will be starting the Lugia V. Not the worst starter, especially going first. You want to make sure that you can get your Lugia V-Star into play turn 2 with a couple Archeops in your discard pile in order to Summoning Star them out for free. We immediately see the Ultra Ball getting rid of double Archeops. Little annoying that those arts don't match, as I said in a previous round, talking about why you may want to have arts of the same art for the same Pokemon card. So we do see another Lugia V coming down, maybe wanting to prioritize the fact that 280 HP is a hard number to hit for Palkia decks. We are going to go for the turn 1 Irida here from Piper. Looks like we are going to be going for potentially a Manaphy along with a Capacious Bucket. The Capacious Bucket will get 2 water energy cards, and then you could always use Keep Calling with Sobble to get 3 more Sobble into play. We are checking to see how many Sobble are in deck, along with what else may be prized. So I do think that that is the exact route that she will be going. We do see the Manaphy is grabbed, the Capacious Bucket comes out. We are going to grab a couple of water energy cards. We are not even going to shuffle the deck because we know we're going back in there immediately. We're going to bench that Manaphy, attach an energy to Sobble, and Keep Calling. That is not an attack that we have seen in quite a long time. Even in matchups where we have seen Palkia decks in more recent events, we have not really seen a Keep Calling come out. Lets you search your deck for 3 Rapid Strike Pokemon, put them onto your bench. Since the Sobble itself is a Rapid Strike Pokemon, it's like a super-powered call for family, allowing you to get a bunch of Sobbles into play all at once. Very interesting decision from Piper to have her be playing the whole Sobble engine here. A lot of people have been deciding not to play decks with the Sobble engine. It's just kind of too slow. Things like Mew VMAX and Lugia V-Star just hit way too hard, way too fast. Just searching out 1 card a turn just doesn't really do much for you with a deck like Palkia. But you can rely on the paralysis from that Articuno in order to help give you a little bit of an edge in matchups like this. Lugia does not usually play a lot of switching cards. Usually they'll play maybe 1 Bird Keeper at most. For this event, again, as I've said in previous rounds, my group was playing the Escape Rope as well. A lot of good players were on the Escape Rope during this tournament. So that does give you more options to get around the Articuno, although it was really more so for the Snorlax. In case you went up against maybe a control matchup, you could move your Snorlax. The Snorlax cannot have its energies discarded by something like a Cry of Destruction Eviltal. So it looks like we are going to go for the Summoning Star, evolving the benched Lugia V. We are going to get the Primal Turbos. We're just going to knock him on the ground. We are going to use the Primal Turbo after we finally recover our Pokemon. So we could see just an attack with the active Lugia V potentially, or we may be going for an attack with the Raikou, but of course, since Piper did get that Manaphy turn 1, she knows that the ideal way for Lugia to attack here would be to go in with the Raikou against these Sobbles. So, insulating with the Manaphy to make sure that only one Pokemon gets knocked out this turn at most. We are going to see the Lugia V get fully powered up, and we're going to just see an Arrow Dive for 110 damage because the double turbo is reducing the damage by 20. We do immediately see a Drizzile. Will Shady Dealings grab one card from our deck. This is a deck that plays a little bit like chess. It is very hard to play Inteleon decks at this point in the meta. It's not as straightforward as it used to be, especially since the decks are so underpowered compared to the other decks in the format. Every decision you make with Shady Dealings is extremely crucial. It would be nice to see maybe something along the lines of Rare Candy into Inteleon with the Raihan. But we did evolve the active already into Drizzile, so we are not likely going to be seeing that. Looks like we are going to be going for the Articuno out of nowhere. We will Raihan to it and attach for turn in order to fully power it up. Not quite sure what we grabbed off the Raihan there. It is hard to tell. Looks like we were eyeing up Scoop Up Net maybe to reset that Drizzile and put the Articuno in the active. That sounds pretty good. It will allow you to use one more Shady Dealings this turn as well, should you desire to do that. So we are going to pick up that Drizzile. Looks like we're actually moving Manaphy to the active, which is a little bit odd. Maybe we're trying to go for something like a cross-switcher play, or just continuing to set up. Looks like we do chain Drizziles. Drizzile to grab Level Ball, to grab Drizzile, to Shady Dealings, to grab Escape Rope. So that will force something active for Ian that he does not want active, and it will get paralyzed by the Articuno. So we're going to see the Sobble get re-benched. We are going to play Escape Rope. We are going to put that Raikou active. I think that is definitely the correct choice. You're not getting much use out of that in this matchup. You're going to get hit for 70 and paralyzed. Sleep is counterclockwise. Paralyze is clockwise. So it is turned clockwise here to 3 o'clock. To show that it is paralyzed, he's going to need to find here for Ian a switching card of some sort. If he plays Bird Keeper or Escape Rope, we're going to need to see that this turn in order to actually get an attack off. Escape Rope not going to be the ideal way to go about it, because you will likely want to remove the Articuno from play if you can, just because that's the most threatening thing right now. It is the one that's paralyzing all of your Pokemon. It looks like we just see a pass here from Ian. Very interesting. Looks like there's not much going on in his hand, so I don't blame him for just passing after using that capture energy to look at his deck. We do see the Evo Incense is getting Shady Dealings. Inteleon will allow Piper to grab 2 item cards from her deck. Well, 2 trainer cards from her deck. So she is going to grab the Hisuian Heavy Ball, knowing exactly what is in the prize cards, is going to grab another Articuno so that we can try to chain these Articunos should the first one go down. Looks like the judge is putting out the prize cards back again. Looks like Thornton goes to the top of the prize cards here. We do see that Gradient Greninja is still in there as well, so that is important to note. Looks like we did also use the Scoop Up on the Inteleon, so we will be able to use a second Inteleon this turn should we desire to do so. We are going to now evolve that after the Capacious Bucket. We're now going to be able to get 2 more trainer cards. Looks like we are going to go for the Emergency Jelly, which allows you to heal your Pokemon. At the end of each turn, if the Pokemon this card is attached to has 30 HP or less remaining and has any damage counters on it, heal 120 from it. If you healed it this way, discard this card. So that is going to go onto the Articuno so it can heal itself. We are going to bench another Articuno with another water energy. We are going to scoop up the Inteleon, re-bench the Sobble, and then paralyze the Lugia. Articuno does do 50 damage to itself every time it does do the 70 and paralysis, which is why you play Emergency Jelly with it, so it can heal itself and continue this paralysis lock. So it looks like we just see another pass from Ian. He's getting absolutely demolished by this Articuno here. We are going to get quick shooting Inteleon this time with the Irida. We might be able to see the evolution into that this turn. We could get 2 quick shootings potentially off if we have another scoop up net. So we are going to Pal Pad back in. Boss's orders, and we were eyeing up Raihan. Looks like we are going to go for the Raihan or Irida. Can't really decide. I think you just go for the Raihan. I think it's fine. You're pretty set up. Irida is more of a setup card for this deck, really. Whereas Raihan can just get you powered up out of nowhere. Like if you pull the Heavy Ball or the Radiant Greninja off the prize cards, you could potentially just Raihan attach for turn to the Greninja and get it powered up almost in one turn. So we are going to see the paralysis yet again. Onto this Lugia, we have 140 damage on it. 160 damage on it, it looks like, actually. Oh, because of the quick shooting. That's right. So did not turn the card for paralysis. It is paralyzed. Very important to know that. Yep, so Piper does say you got to turn it, and it is turned. We do see the Primal Turbo of the Archeops is going to put a couple of energy cards from deck onto itself. So we do get a Powerful Colorless and a Capture. That will give it as a retreat option in the future should he ever be able to get out of this paralysis lock. So we do see an Irida, even though we did not shuffle that other Irida in. We still have an Irida for this turn. We are going to grab another quick shooting Inteleon along with a Cape of Toughness that will allow this Articuno to live yet another turn as well, in addition. Kind of getting almost the same usability as the Emergency Jelly. Not quite as good, but could be useful in other situations as well. Putting the Cape on the Manaphy so that it's harder to be knocked out by things like Sableye. Looks like we got double quick shooting and then paralyzed. So the way that paralysis decks have always worked in Pokemon, any deck that relies heavily on paralysis, it wants the opponent's Pokemon to stay paralyzed and then you knock it out going into your turn. So there was a deck back in the day called Excelgor Gothitelle and then later Excelgor Trevenant. Basically the same thing, just a little bit better. But the Excelgor would poison and paralyze and then shuffle itself back into the deck. So you would do the math in certain ways with Burbank City Gym so that the Pokemon would get knocked out going into your turn so that then you can just paralyze and poison yet again whatever their new Pokemon that came up was, so that they can perpetually never attack. So this deck works very similarly to that with these quick shooting Inteleons. We are going to see that Heavy Ball get that Radiant Greninja. It's so funny that this is sort of a Palkia deck, yet we do not see any Palkias yet. Alright, that moves the Thornton and the boss's orders down to the bottom here. We are going to see the evolution Incense is going to get a Drizzile, which will grab Boss's orders. Piper is deciding who she wants to bring up. Looks like it is going to be the Archeops. Did not want to go after this Lugia, it seems. So we are going to quick shooting ones to the bench. We're going to Cape of Toughness so that we can live this attack from ourselves. And then the Archeops gets paralyzed and puts 70 on it. So yeah, this is sort of a little bit of an aggressive control deck. It is really interesting how it ends up working like this. We are going to see the Lost Vacuum. This is the downside to the Cape of Toughness. That will knock out the Articuno, allowing Ian to take a prize. However, that's not really going to get him that far because he's still paralyzed. Allows him to take a knockout. Allows Piper to get one less attack in with the same Articuno. But, yeah, where do you go from here? If there is a scoop up net that Piper can use, she can get 3 quick shootings in one turn, potentially, would be really good. See, a draw for turn. We can always just retreat. This Inteleon only has a 1 retreat cost, so that is not too bad, especially since that Articuno already has the energy needed, so you don't have to attach any more additional energy to the benched Articuno. We are going to see a quick ball for a Palkia V. The Origin Form Palkia V. That will go to the bench. We will probably see a Palkia V-Star ability at some point to get some extra water energies into play. Does not really matter at this point, but we are methodically putting our damage counters down. We are going to soften up that Lugia V, and we are just going to paralyze yet again. That Archeops does stay paralyzed, and on the next turn, Quick Shooting will finish it off, forcing another Pokemon active, and then that Pokemon will get paralyzed by the Articuno. I think that if you're... Well, I guess Ian has a Cape of Toughness, which is a little odd to include Cape of Toughness in this deck. But if I were him, if the Cape of Toughness wasn't on the Raikou, I would want to promote that so that it gets knocked out by the Articuno, and then I don't have something paralyzed. But yeah, Piper completely in control of this matchup right now. Has a fairly considerably large hand, so we might want to see that Marnie. We do eye up that Marnie with the Luminion V. We are going to hard attach a V-Guard for turn, and then we are going to play the Marnie. So we got to finish up shuffling this deck since we just searched the Marnie with it. And then we're going to shuffle up our hand, put that on the bottom. So Piper now only has 4 cards. That's not what you really want to see with an Inteleon deck, because you want to make sure you stack up a whole bunch of cards in hand. So we're going to quick shooting that Archeops. That will knock it out. Piper goes down to 3 remaining prize cards. We are going to see that Lugia come up now. Not sure how I feel about that. If you have another Lost Vacuum in deck, you might... I would have liked to see the Raikou come up so you can Lost Vacuum your own Cape of Toughness, letting it get knocked out so you can attack again. If Piper is able to finally take that Thornton off her prize cards, she will be able to Thornton maybe the Palkia into an Articuno, even, or the Manaphy into an Articuno. We are seeing a quick ball discarding a Manaphy. Don't really need that in this matchup. Piper is not attacking with the Shady Dealings Inteleon, so do not have to keep that 20 damage off of the bench that card does. And we are going to see another Marnie. So yeah, I'm not sure what Ian's even digging for at this point. Piper has complete control of the game. Ian has only taken 2 prize cards. Piper is never going to let you out of this paralysis lock. Although, I suppose the Articuno will knock itself out this turn should you not see another emergency jelly. We are going to see the V-Star finally. And it looks like a Battle VIP pass. There are no more usable items really in Piper's deck, so she's just going to use this to thin it out. Grab the Palkia V-Star. She immediately discards the Palkia V-Star. It's supposed to be in her hand. She realizes that. Evolves. Attaches Wash Water Energy to the Palkia. That is good for the matchup against things like Sableye in Lost Box, to where you can prevent defensive attacks from working on it. It also protects from the Evital as well. The Evital with the amazing destruction attack. We are going to see a quick shooting come down on the Raikou. And then Articuno will knock itself out, inflicting paralysis on the Archeops. Again, gotta turn it sideways. Can't forget to turn your Pokemon sideways. And he's got to take a prize card as well for the Articuno knocking itself out. So Ian's effectively taken 2 prize cards just off of Piper knocking herself out, which is kind of funny. Which is making this game look a lot more even. So if there is a way that Ian can ever draw into a Bird Keeper, maybe we might be able to see Ian actually close this game out. So we will see an Ultra Ball is going to get rid of Stoutland and something else. He's got some energy cards in hand, so I wouldn't really want to play Research yet. Looks like a Heat Fire is fine. Does not have a lot of cards left in deck. We do have that Evital. We do have the Radiant Charizard. Radiant Charizard is weak to water Pokemon. Very important to remember. We are going to use Primal Turbo. Can be used even though Archeops is paralyzed. The old Poke Powers and Poke Bodies did not necessarily work if your Pokemon had a status condition, but luckily these Pokemon abilities that have been around since Black and White are a lot different, and you can still use them even if your Pokemon has status conditions. We are going to see a bunch of energy coming down on this basic Lugia V. We have a lot of powerful, we have 2 powerful colorless energies now, along with a double turbo, so we're doing 150 now with the Lugia V. 180 if we're against a Pokemon V. So we are going to quick shooting to knock out the active. We're going to promote the Radiant Charizard, which is weak to water. We're going to grab back a Water Energy. We're going to see how many we have left. We're going to grab back that Water Energy with Training Court, retreat, put up Palkia. We are going to bench another Palkia, put 3 Water Energies from the discard onto it. We're going to quick shooting the benched Lugia V. Paralysis does not really matter too much now. Piper is at 1 remaining prize card. This Lugia that's going to the active is super softened up. The Palkia V that's on the bench can just hit for 200 at any point, knocking out any of the Pokemon that Ian has in play. And this is the checkmate position here from Piper. If Piper even has access to something like a Lost Vacuum, she can even take the knockout on the Raikou at any point, so. But I don't believe she does. But either way, we've got double Palkias threatening knockout on anything in play. And yeah, we're just going to see the Lugia hit for not enough damage to take the knockout, and the Palkia will be able to clean up the knockout here. So Piper completely in control that entire game. She was letting her opponent take prize cards, but it did not matter. Because, again, if you can't attack on your own, you don't really get very far here. So let's fast forward to when we get to the next game. Alright, so we are putting out our prize cards now. Ian does not put them on the stream setup for some reason. Fixes that. We've got Serena Eviltall, Aurora Energy Capture. We've got a few Inteleon pieces and Articuno here with double boss's orders is a little odd. So we do have the start of the Dunsparce. That can get one-shot by a Articuno. So that is a good Pokemon to start here. Should Piper be able to power up an Articuno in one turn. Although I don't think she can on the first turn. So it might have been better to start the Lugia. But I think he did have to just Quick Ball for that. So yes, it must not have been a choice. And just passes from there. So we are going to see the turn 1 Irida yet again. We're going to do the exact same play as the previous game. Checking to see all the Sobble we have. We're going to Irida for Manaphy and Capacious Bucket. Capacious Bucket for 2 Water Energy attached to Sobble and Keep Calling. We're also going to check some other prize cards here for Piper as well. Yep. So as I said, doing the same play as the first game. No reason not to. Just getting 2 Sobble because 1 is prized. We may see a knockout on this Sobble. If Piper has access to less Sobble chains here, we may be able to prevent Piper from being able to set up the Articuno before we are set up here for Ian. So we will have to see if we can piece this together. We get another Lugia V down. Got some supporters in hand. Can't really tell which ones. We get a choice belt. Yep, looks like we're going to try to research. Is that maybe Irida? The new art of Irida? Yes, it is. Along with a boss's orders as well. So, not ideal getting rid of all of that, but you got to do what you got to do. To get Pumpkaboo isn't super useful in this matchup. It just, you know, gets rid of the training court. We get Monkey down. We're going to do the Monkey. Capture Energy. That will shuffle that card that was just put on top back into the deck. So must not have been a card that you wanted to see on your next turn. A lot of times you usually want to use Oranguru to put something like a supporter on top of your deck. So in case you get Marnied, that insulates you from having a dead hand, but other times your hand is just so super dead that you don't have a good card to put up there, so you just put a bad card up there and then find a way to shuffle your deck to try to make your hand a little more live. We are going to see Evo Incense for Drizzile for another Irida. And it looks like we are going to be chaining Drizziles, so we are going to get a Level Ball and a Radiant Greninja. Yeah, I don't think Piper is playing that Crabominable that Ian Robb was playing previously when he last played this deck. Crabominable is really great against matchups like Control, where they play the Mewtwo V Union at times. It's also really great to just knock out big Lugia Vs. We are going for the Level Ball. Gonna probably grab a Drizzile here. So we see Drizzile to grab Quick Ball. And then we will Quick Ball for the Articuno most likely. Alright, we're going to put Radiant Greninja up after we scoop up Net. We're going to grab Capacious Bucket with this Drizzile. Grab 2 more Water Energy. And here is the Quick Ball, getting rid of Battle VIP Pass. Alright, so Quick Ball is for Palkia this time. Looks like we're not going for the Paralysis route in this game. Maybe because we only have one Articuno access. The other one is prized. Looks like we are just passing from here. This is a bit of an odd play in my opinion, but I'm sure Piper is one of the most skilled players in the game right now. She's won 2 regionals in just this season. So, playing a methodical deck like this, she likely knows what she is doing better than I do. So I will just sit here confused and not know what she was doing that turn. So it looks like we are going to go for the Drapion, which we are discarding with a Quick Ball. I don't know, man. Drapion's pretty good in this matchup. We are grabbing a Stoutland. Stoutland is actually really good here because it can knock out Sobbles and Drizziles and take 2 prize cards on them. Although the Palkia can just return one-shot you when they get the V-Star, so... Looks like we are going to go for the Marnie, potentially. That will put the Stoutland on the bottom of your deck if you're not going to go for that play this turn. Yep. Looks like he's going back in as well. So he's going to go for the Capture Energy and just shuffle his deck. Yeah, so I guess he does not want to get another basic Pokemon. But that's why he stopped shuffling there, because he's like, well, I'm going to technically have to shuffle my deck again anyway, so I might as well just play the Capture Energy and say that I fail it, so that then we can spend some time. You don't have to cut my deck twice. So good on him to do that. We do see the Marnie come down now. Piper is going to only have 4 cards. And Ian is deciding exactly what he wants to do here. Yep, looks like he is going for the Lugia V-Star. He'll only be able to get 1 Archeops out, though, since he has a full bench. -1. I think Piper might be deciding not to take a knockout until Summoning Star comes out. That would be a good play as well, just forcing your opponent to only be able to get 1 Archeops. So since Ian essentially overbenched, she's not going to feed into that play. She's too smart for that. She's like, no, I'm not going to take a knockout on something like a Dunsparce when that frees up a bench space for you to go double Archeops. It's like, that would just be bad on me. She would rather Ian potentially take the first prize cards and only have access to 1 Archeops. A very good call. Looks like we are grabbing double Turbo Energy with the Primal Turbo here. We will be able to retreat the Dunsparce into the Lugia V-Star and then take the knockout on Radiant Greninja. Palkia now comes up. We will likely see that evolve to the V-Star this turn. Either that, or we could see a Thornton, but nope, looks like we're going for the Raihan. We're going to be able to search our deck for any 1 card. Will likely be the Palkia V-Star, since we do not have that in hand already. Or maybe something like a Drizzile or Inteleon, just to get an additional card out of the deck. Looks like we are looking at maybe the Evo Incense, so we could be going for... Okay, looks like we went for the Inteleon. We're going to quick shooting the active. We're going to scoop up Net it. We're going to go for the Drizzile. Shady Dealings. We're going to grab the Evo Incense for the Palkia. Absolutely amazing play there from Piper. Is able to absolutely control exactly how she searches her deck. So if she was able to go for the Palkia V-Star with the Raihan, she would not have had that quick shooting at all. She already had the Scoop Up Net in hand, knowing that she could get that Evo Incense with the Drizzile. And now we're going to get yet another quick shooting ability go down here. So we are going to put 2 damage counters on the benched Lugia V. And now we are going to be able to take the knockout since we put that first 2 damage counters down on the Lugia V-Star. And now we take the first 2 prize cards. So Piper playing games 1 and 2 completely differently. It is an exact 180. She went from being completely acting like a control deck into acting like an aggressive deck. And just going for just pure damage output. So that is enough to throw your opponent off and make it so that they have a harder time just being able to play the game, because they're like, okay, I figured out the strategy on how to potentially beat you in game 1, and then she switches up the strategy completely, and it's like, okay, well now I have to refigure it out. It's almost like playing a second game 1, except it's game 2 for Piper, and it's second game 1 for Ian, which is crazy. Sometimes you can just win by playing mind games with your opponent like that. It's like, well, this is the strategy I went with game 1. She even played turn 1 the exact same. She went for the Irida, Manaphy, Capacious Bucket, Double Water Energy, Sobble. And yeah, it looks like Lugia hits and does not finish off this Palkia. Just hits for big damage, but not enough. So this Palkia will live to see another turn. And we'll be able to finish off this Lugia V-Star because of the quick shootings. It does have that V-Guard energy, so we do need a couple more quick shootings on this than we did on the previous Lugia V-Star. And this Palkia will be hitting for knockout now. And Piper has not even used her V-Star power yet, so she can even load up any of her Pokemon with water energies as well. So yeah, crazy gameplay here from Piper. Goes to show why she's won 2 regionals this season. It's amazing, these former seniors aging up and just immediately taking down Master Division tournaments left and right is absolutely insane. I wish I was as good of a player as these kids when I was their age. If I was like, you know, in high school still or whatever, and I was playing at this level, dude, I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And I thought Hydro-Geddon was good. And this was like right before Xyz were released. So we do see the Primal Turbo coming out yet again here from the Archeops. Is going to start loading up this Raikou, but again, that Manaphy is in play. I would like to see that Manaphy leave play before we attack with Raikou. We do see a Professor's Research, so that is not what we want. I would want to see a Boss's Orders to take out the Manaphy before we put up the Raikou and try to take multiple prize cards. Yeah, so it looks like Ian got really confused, but Piper's like, I have game, goes to attach the energy, and has Boss's Orders to knock out the Luminion, is what happened there. That did look a little bit confusing here, so let's rewind just ever so slightly. Just in case you guys missed it. So yeah, Piper goes attach Water Energy, plays Boss's Orders to bring up this Luminion, hits it for, what, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 240 or something like that. Yeah, so, yep, Piper was able to play games 1 and 2 completely differently, and was able to just show up Ian in both games. Very unfortunate for Ian. I mean, he did his best. There was really nothing better that he could do in game 1. Even if he played the cards that were the outs to the Articuno in his deck, he never drew into them, so there was nothing he could do. And then in this game too, Piper was just able to go super aggressive, and Ian was not able to get the double Archeops out in time for it to matter. And especially since that Irida just grabs the Manaphy instantaneously, this Raikou just did nothing. So this Raikou, I do have to say, was a bad call for this tournament. Even I played the Raikou, I just didn't want to change my list because I was comfortable with it. But I do agree that this card should be Snorlax instead of Raikou for this tournament. Now, should that change in the future? Potentially, but you have to metagame each tournament as they come. So, guys, do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Feed that delicious YouTube algorithm. He is a hungry boy. Only about 15% of you are currently subscribed. We got to get those numbers up. We will see you guys next time.